Write them a letter, I'm told, as a disoriented and rather innocent preteen. That innocence would shatter to pieces in a matter of mere fleeting months, time measures that have no real weight to someone so young. I did in fact write the letter back then, but never sent it to you. This time, I'm letting openness have another shot, secretly hoping you stumble across this. Beginning to truly conceptualize what you did took years to even grasp at. It always has been, and most likely always will be. Attempting to tell you all of these things is an insurmountable task. There is not enough superlative language to encapsulate all you did. Instead of ridiculing you, though, I'll try my best to explain the decade in my life that could only really be labeled as dark. Love would occasionally break down the door of my insolence, but never frequent enough to now look back with no regrets. All because you left. Something in my heart tells me that in this present moment that blaming you is wrong, but there's no other way to get around it. Robbed of childlike wonder, robbed of the stage of life thought as inconsequential, I grew up in a flash. Life announced itself to me in the darkest shades of inconceivable blue. Days blending together with cries of how could this happen to me. Self-pity and lashing out was the new normal. Joy seeming as far away as north is from south. The person I trusted the most, gone. Anxiety entered the fold in increasing intensity, and I adopted a philosophy of language and hedonism. How else could a child truly cope? The consequences of these moments bubble up to the surface in the present very frequently. Trauma is what it is. Can I ever trust anyone again? Growing up in the hands of no one else but myself. Again, there is simply not enough superlative language to tell you what you did, if only you knew. I can vividly remember the darkest periods of this era in my life. Thoughts and feelings unfortunately too many individuals know. I hated you for this. You became the highest depiction of evil and selfishness in my eyes. Everything that I enjoyed provided no escape. I could only trick myself into thinking I enjoyed these things. Omniscient in the back of my mind were constant reminders of what you had done, that my life was radically different from others around me. Going back and trying to understand how I felt in order to write this leaves me numb and blank, staring in the face of destitute life. I would cry out for help, but damaged like a baby bird, there was no hope. These cries were laced with anger and confusion that led to nowhere, often not even understanding that my cries were indeed attacks. Luckily and thankfully, that person no longer exists. Perhaps it was some of my biggest worries from the dark period, that there could be no possible future where I hurt someone like you hurt me, that there could be no possible future where I resembled you at all. Maybe it was me finally forgiving you. Understanding humanity and the sheer challenge that is rationality allowed me to empathize with you. Maybe it was indeed this weight off my shoulders that most of these problems were birthed from my own hubris. Hubris? What the fuck? Many issues only exist in our minds. Nonetheless, the storm has passed. It's not always sunny, but it is far-fetched to believe it could be. That's something I wish I'd known. Your actions are still inexcusable, but your actions did place a chip on my shoulder. To lose weight, to strengthen my mind and soul, to become someone, realizing that life has too much at stake to watch it pass by. If this ambition comes out of anger, I do not care. I find it better than sleepless nights filled with sorrow. I understand many people have had it worse than me and will continue to have it worse, sadly. Nevertheless, anyone who has experienced abuse and trauma understands that sentiments like these typically do not matter. I write this letter as an attempt to heal and hopefully help others to heal. No one should ever make someone out to feel that their trauma isn't important. However, while the trauma will always be there in ways, it does get better. I was told this many times and flippantly rejected it. I did not see it as a possibility. Now though, I wish I gave it a little bit of stock, as perhaps the healing process would have come sooner. Here, it is probably appropriate to mention that the system in which we live under assuredly played a role in my delayed healing, as well as many others out there. However, I think another occasion would be more ideal to flesh out this aspect of the human experience, negativity on the whole, and capitalism. Regardless, life is beautiful. Understanding our human experience to be a special one can uplift on its own. Being a human intrinsically means being able to do anything. To quote Aldous Huxley, an awareness of life as good not for any reason, but just because it is life. Ideas such as these are instrumental in general life, but especially with anyone dealing with major mountains in their way. I am always here for you. Reach out to people you feel comfortable with. You are important and deserve to be heard. If only you knew what you did. I love you all. Peace and love.